Good morning and welcome to Equity Story Trade Watch. Wednesday, the 30th of August. Couple more days to go for the reporting season, and we're going to be finally seeing a little bit maybe of peace and quiet for a little while. But before we do that, we've got a disclaimer. We're going to talk about some announcements this morning. We're going to talk about what happened last night and see if we can find anything we can maybe grab onto and maybe trade or invest into. So the disclaimer says that we always talk about stocks that are in general, right? General advice only. So everything we talk about is based on technicals and fundamentals only. All right, let's move on. So last night was a good night actually for our markets, which is nice. Pretty much Nasdaq surged. We had a good Dow as well at about 0.85, as you can see, and the Nasdaq was 1.74. And this is on the back of US jobs data opening came in much lower than expected. So of course, you know that fight between soft landing in the economy and not pushing the potential to have raised rates further with more inflation, it's sort of playing out nicely for the markets right now. So I think that's good news. Of course, we've still got the China in the background, which is really scary. We don't want to think about it, but it will probably still come out in certain days, maybe weeks, that, hang on, we got to look at this. It could crash the markets, of course. So on tenterhooks, but, you know, for the moment, but let's go with the markets, how they're playing out. And it hasn't been too bad a week at all, so which is nice to see. Now, the other thing for us is because we're having the end of the reporting season, it's good to see that some of the reports have actually been pretty good. So a positive reporting season from what I can see, which for me, as an investor, is always good news. So at least it gives that runway for the next few months as a positive runway. If we had a pretty bad reporting season, I think it would just be pretty doom and gloom, really, at the end of the day. So good. I'm happy. So let's move on. So we've seen obviously what happened with the indices. Let's have a look at the actual commodities as well. Uranium, of course, is the one that's been doing quite well. Surprisingly, coal has been doing okay. If you look at coal right now, it's been bouncing quite nicely. So you've got that, you know, probably bottom around 125 to 158. So that's sort of going back up again, which gives maybe some trading opportunities in the coal stocks. You know, I'd be probably again tentative to do so, but you got to respect the charts, and it's telling you that potentially there's a little bounce, so there could be some money made in there. Let's go back to see if there's anything else that's looking positive. And I know that the oil and gas has been doing okay. So let's look at crude oil. See what that's doing. It is still okay. Nothing exciting. I mean, nothing is exciting at all. But at the end of the day, is there a trade to be made in some of these oil stocks? Maybe. Again, play the charts. But I think uranium is the one that's really standing out to me. Gold's fairly, well, it's had a bit of a jump. So let's have a look at it. But it's still fairly sideways more than anything else. You can see that 2050 back under 2000. Back over 900, over 900, back over under 900, back over. So it's just going sideways, just having that sideways movement. So yeah, there could be some movements in the gold price, but and the shares themselves, but it's hard work. That's probably the theme here. Your lithium's not doing too much. Iron ore still okay. Let's have a look at iron ore. As you can see, fairly similar to gold, really not doing too much, but it's still fairly strong, which is nice for the iron ore players out there. And let's have a look at copper. Where are we here? And that's probably, again, very sideways. So I think there's the theme here. Not much happening in the commodity space. Uranium is the only one that's really doing anything, but at least the actual metals are not crashing. That's the good news, right? So we're not seeing the BHPs, the Rios, the S32s just completely collapsing and bringing us down. So that's okay. All right, let's look at some stories from this morning. There's a few that's been reporting, so I'm going to flick the switch again, move on to some new screen for you so you can have a look. So here we are. I've got, I'm going to start from the back. So DDR, and look, the chart is not brilliant. If you look at just on a 3, well, let's look at on a 2 year. It's not brilliant. It's sort of going below the trend, so we're not interested for the moment. It has been one of our favorite stories over the years, but recently with, you know, post-COVID, the inflation, it just hasn't worked for them, right? So it's just been going backwards, and it's still in there, low growth, so 10% roughly around there, and trading on 20 times is just too much. So it's probably just waiting for the better moment, better maybe time in the cycle for it to start getting better. So for the moment, pass technically and fundamentally. I think there's better stories to play with. Let's look at another one, PGC, which released their result. Paragon is an interesting little story, but it's just not doing enough, right? It's still underwater. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to pick out some interesting stories, but the reason why I picked that one out, it is cheap. So it's trading on 13 times PE-wise. The trouble with this story, it had lots of acquisitions. The EPS, or the earnings per share, hasn't been growing too much. It's starting to grow this year, which is nice. So maybe there's a start of something here, but still, it's still got a long way to go. I think for me, if I'm an investor or looking at some of these stories, I probably need it over at least 30 cents for me to be absolutely any interest whatsoever. So a long way to go, but it's still on my watch list because I see there's a little bit merit in the business, but not for the moment. All right, let's move on another one, a much better story. So S&D, a little engineering group. Again, more of a dividend play, really, at the end of the day. Pretty cheap at 8.8 times. Sorry, 12 times it's trading at with came out with some good growth today. So overall, very lightly traded, so difficult. But if you're looking for a dividend play, definitely decent and fairly steady, and came out with a decent result. So it's not the worst, not the best, but it could make someone's portfolio if you're looking for some dividends where you can maybe sit for 12 months and see what happens. So let's have a look at it on the month. Let's look at it on the daily just to see where it's at. So as you can see, that's for dividend, because we normally look at the dividend on a 12-month period. That's very comfortable. Still looks pretty good. No issues there. I wouldn't be trading this, of course. I'd just be probably looking at this as a dividend play. All right, let's look at Kelsian. Now, I know there's a lot of love for this story from a lot of groups, investors out there. But for me, it's a very, very interesting story because it's got a very checkered up and down the bottom line, right? From going great guns to going bad, to going good, to going bad, to going good, to going bad. It's just all over the shop. Even though revenue is climbing, the bottom line is just going everywhere. So for me, as an investor, I want consistency. I want to see something that can actually look after the bottom line as well. So for me, I don't know. I'm not convinced about the story, to be honest. It's trading on about 71 times, which is expensive, but they didn't have a great year profit-wise, right? So they had a big acquisition. Again, it's been messy again. I don't know. It's just too difficult. So you can see the investors are thinking, not quite there. Again, better stories out there. Would I be touching it? No, I wouldn't from fundamental or technical point of view. So really, pass. Another one there's a lot of love for the story, but not for us. Let's look at FLT. Another one that's in a good space, right? That's been recovering very, very well. So the travel and leisure space is looked upon as a pretty positive space. We've seen HLO deliver a very, very good result. Flight Centre, however, delivered a good result, but it's still coming off a very low base. Yet they still come up with a fairly, for me, not a result I'm probably looking for. I'm looking for more because on their results today, they are trading on 100 times, right? So while they're talking about this is a great result and everything is looking great, I'm still wanting more out of this. And I think, again, maybe the market wants more out of it as well. You can see it's okay on the daily and it's okay on the weekly, which gives you a little bit of confidence that maybe the market's okay with it. But it's not, it's not pushing it up higher, is it, today on this result? So for me, possibly tells you that market was expecting more out of this. Even though the outlook is still positive, they're talking about, the conditions are still ripe. They should be growing through over the next 12 months in EPS and revenue-wise. I think, for me, HLO is the one I'd be probably playing at this stage. So let's have a look at HLO again from a couple of days ago, and I think we put it on as a trade. We've got it at a hot stock. We've been doing quite well with it. So 317 for HLO is pretty good, right? At the end of the day for the week. So if you look at it on a daily, it's okay. It's still looking pretty positive. So that's going to be probably playing for sure. All right, let's look at BXB. This has been doing very, very, very well. It's a big story. It's a story that's been coming up with upgrades. So upgrade stories are always very positive. Look at the daily, absolutely flying today. They came up with a pretty good result, a very actually strong result, I have to say. Strong double-digit growth. When I said strong double-digit growth in the high teens, which is nice. It's trading on 19 times on the figures they gave us today. But look at the daily, it looks great. And I'll talk about it in a sec. But the outlook may be conservative in a way. They're talking about maybe high single-digit growth. So it's not going to be as high as this year, but hopefully they can work on that, right? Because we've seen it during last year. They came up with low and they kept coming up and up and up. And that's what they've come up with today. So the market usually takes that very positively, where you say something, you come up with something more, market loves you. So, okay. Fundamentally, I'm happy with, right? No problems there. Big story, 10% growth, roughly there. I'm okay as long as they can grow that to that maybe 13, 14, 15% throughout the year, right? That's very decent for me. Trading wise, great green candle. That's very, very strong. We talked about that we possibly could see that 15. There's your strong candle. This is the one probably be looking at as a trade by the end of the week. So we still got a couple of days to go. So I'll wait till it settles first. I would not be jumping the gun because you want to see how the other brokers are saying, there could be a couple of sells going in there. Wow, it's just jumped too high. It's just too expensive for us at 20 times. You just don't know. So you just want to leave that for the big brokers out there who've got a lot of clout, of course. So Friday is probably the day we're going to say whether we're getting onto this story or not. But the chart looks great. It's bouncing off the trend lines. Great, strong candle. Good result. It's sort of set up for next week. So one to definitely put on your watch list. Another one that's been doing very, very well is SXE. We've had this as a dividend stock for us. Good result today. It's trading on 10 times. So it's cheap. Good dividend. Positive outlook without giving us too much information in there. However, on this chart, you think this is going higher. It's broken out. And if you put it actually a bit longer, I think it is breaking out to all-time highs. That's the story to buy because it's pretty cheap. So you're buying growth, you're buying value, and you're buying dividends. I mean, what a combo, right? Again, you can probably, if you haven't got it already on last week's candle or maybe this week's that candle there, you're still holding, you'll probably be buying at the end of the week though. That's what probably the only caveat here. You're waiting for the end of the week, see how it settles, then you buy. But this is great price action. If it's like that at the end of the week, you're buying anyway. Okay, so that's two really good stories. SXE, BXB to buy. Okay, let's look at little ABV, and I'll leave the bad to last, right, for you guys. So ABV, I don't mind this story. It's trading on 10 times. That has a bit of growth, profitable. It's very lightly traded. I've been starting to look at this one a little bit just to see if there's any merit longer term, maybe. When it was lightly traded, difficult to maybe trade itself. But a decent result today. I was expecting maybe a bit of movement, but because it's maybe just flying under the radar, very lightly traded, there's just not movement at all. So I just put it on the side for the moment. We're not going to rush into this one at all. We're just going to leave it this side, see if there's maybe 6 to 12 months down the track, if there's a bit of movement and price action, where there's more investors interested in the story, then maybe we'll trade it. But for the moment, no. All right, let's look at the disaster today. Chalice. I suppose the favorite story for a long time, right? So market darling. What can we make of this? All right, so the story itself, Gonaville, WA, PGMs, great story, great discovery, brilliant, loved it, right? That's one part. Everything went well, fantastic. Second part, that is looking at this project economically, right? So this is the feasibility studies. This is where it fails by looks of things, right? This is where the market goes, what on earth are we seeing here? So I'll tell you what the market's seeing here and going, I can't believe what I'm seeing, right? Probably there's a few things, but the most important things here are, it's going to cost $2 billion to develop. Well, if there's a big project, a good project, $2 billion should not be a big issue. If this is world-class, if this is something that maybe they can get a partner for, brilliant, right? Yes. Doable because it's a brilliant project and so on. But $2 billion is still $2 billion. It's a lot of money, right? So You think to yourself as an investor, holy moly, where are they going to get this money from? They'll probably have to go to the debt and find some really investors out there, right? Okay. Where it really lets it down is the actual timeline. Okay, so the final investment decision, 2026, that's 3 years away, right? Production, 2029, 6 years away. That's like a lifetime away for investors. 6 years away, PGMs could be at a zero. I mean, it's just very difficult to get your head around that we got to wait such a long time to see any production, any cash flows. Holy moly. I mean, that's what a dampener that is. But you know what? That's the reality of it. That is the reality of big projects. And unfortunately, investors are going, oh, well, I just can't wait this long. I'm just going to sell this down. I've got to get something else to play with for the moment. Because we've seen, right, companies that are in this phase, the feasibility study and the development study, just go sideways to down for that period. We've seen it with SFR, right? 3 years down the sideways. So if this is 6 years, why be in here? It just makes no sense. Oh, what a it's not a disaster, but what a deflating moment for CHN shareholders and looking at this and going, oh no, 6 years production, 2 billion. And by the time production, it's that's that capex of 2 billion probably got to be 4 billion by then. Oh my God. You got to find something else to play with. I mean, just simple as that. Great discovery. You've made your money. Time to move on. I think that's what it says here. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, look, I just could not believe what I'm seeing here with some of these things that they've written down. And you look at the numbers, they look okay, and so on, but you got to spend that money. You've got to wait that time for it to actually come to fruition. There's no investors out there that are going to wait that long. Nah, sorry. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Okay, there's not much to be excited about today, really, except the two stories. Let's see on my watch list if there's anything that we should be going, all right, this is still going very, very well. We're happy to be there from this, released last week, this week. So we talked about taking profits on Macmillan. After that, ridiculous, up to $23. And then coming back to the trend lines, we expected it to come to the trend lines. That was just a crazy move. So that's okay. It's bouncing nicely. So we got this one. It's going well. Very, very good. Let's see what else is there that's looking okay. So just going down, it's good to see JLG going well. Just needs another probably good week. So this week has been great after that result. Just probably needs another week, but we're watching that one. Disclaimer, I have been nibbling on JLG on that announcement this week. So I'm very, very happy with that. Sideminder, look at that. Look at Sideminder. Ooh, that looks juicy. Finishes like the end of the week. You're buying that. That is great action. Let's have a look at what else have we got here. Live 360, another one we've been following, good results. Yep, that's still looking good. Still trending along, up beautifully. So we've got to be happy with some of the stories. Aussie Band, ABB, doing quite well. That's good to see. Tilix, look at that one. Oh, yes. I knew it. I knew this is a good story. It's bouncing up beautifully. I know the result was good. The market just didn't know how to react to it, really. So that's good to see. So overall, we're pretty happy with some of those stories, really. I mean, look at AUB, another one of our favorites. We talked about which is our favorite in this space. Okay, well, let me just give you an example. Why? Why do we like some stories fundamentally, and then we see this chart, right? AUB fundamentally is the best story, right? For me, I look through these three stories: AUB, SDF, PSI. All right. So look at the chart on AUB. Fantastic breakout, looking great. SDF, okay, but it's not as good. Look at that. It's below the trend lines, right? Why is that? It's because their fundamentals are just so much better at AUB. Look at PSI. It's probably okay, but again, I'd still rather have AUB. Look at that. There you go. It's fundamentals play a big part. So if you're ever looking at, say, a sector, looking at, make sure you get the best one fundamentally, right? Look at even Hub and Net Wealth and PP in that space, right? So let's have a look at these guys. It's just paced Marry those two things together. So Hub's looking good. And I think, look, and to be fair, and Netwealth and Hub are looking pretty good together. So let's look at which is the best strike. I mean, this is okay still, but PPS is the one that's probably the weakest and the least, I suppose, not steady, but least quality, right? You can see by the charts, the men from the boys are being sorted out with announcements with the full year results. And this is what I'm saying is always trying to stick to the best of the best, because you're going to get caught out. If a sector's doing well, your company is maybe not the best and they don't come up with a really good result, or, you know, a really, really good result. So overall, look, I'm very happy with what's happening. SNL is another one that's doing very, very well. It's actually, this is a great looking chart. Look at that. That's another one we're probably looking at in the week. But anyway, overall, very good for reporting season. I'm very happy. We've got 2 more days to go. Oh no, 1 more day to go tomorrow, right? And then we're done. So there's a lot of stocks out there. I'm going to come up with a list, top 10, maybe top 12, maybe top dozen of stories that reporting very, very well. We should be owning or should be buying for the next 12 months. So I'll come up with that next week, and we're going to discuss it. And we're going to have a look at them and see what we can do. And maybe we could do that for the bigger stories and the smaller stories. We'll see how we go. But overall, very happy. Good week today. Fingers crossed. It's almost over. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you tomorrow.